To say after that, bro.
It's all gibberish, ramblings.
Noodly.
Coffee infused
Friends. Yeah. You had a lot of coffee this morning.
I did.
Didn't
It's
you?
too much.
I love it. Friends, welcome. Eric Andreas, YourGuitarSage here. Brett Papa. And I'm just noticing right now that I didn't even get my daggone chat up because we were just having so much fun doing this.
Just chatting.
So while I'm pulling this up here, my friends, we are live on Instagram, we are live on Facebook, and we're doing giveaways today. We're going to be talking about why it is that I got into playing guitar. Like, what is it? There's always a thing. There's always something, okay? Hold on here. You're probably going to hear a little something here. Just, I apologize if you do, okay? Peer-to-peer. Hold on here. Yeah, I know. That's us. There we are. We're live. So everybody gets into, look at this. This is you. Look
what?
At you.
Who is that?
How did that
Maniac.
happen? So everybody gets into guitar for some reason, right? And it's typically because you are into some other guitar player or some song that blows you away. And so we're going to talk about that a little bit. I want to hear from you guys what it is that got you guys into guitar. And then we're going to be taking your questions. So this is a great opportunity to...
Oh, sweet.
BJ Danil, thank you, brother. And by the way, that little fun little lick right there, we've... Chris, our engineer extraordinaire... Guru, technical genius, freak, is in the other room, and we're going to be playing some fun little bits anytime there's a donation. So BJ, thank you so much, and the lunch fund has officially started just now. So we ate yesterday. We had some Japanese food, right?
Good curry.
Oh, some good curry. It was so yummy.
Thing.
So thank you so much. So if you guys do a little donation, I've got the chat's up now. If you guys do a little donation, that's what you're going to hear today. Real quick, 3 things.
But wait, there's more.
There's more. And wait, there's more.
Sunday.
BrettPapa.com so that you can know this guy more. If you don't know this guy, you really need to know this guy. I literally was watching one of his videos and I chatted him up and I said, dude, I love your stuff. I love your style. Let's have a bromance. And he came down to Nashville and it's
been years.
And we love all the same guitar
Trampoline
players.
parks together.
Trampoline parks, beers, all sorts of fun stuff. So look Brett Papa up at BrettPapa.com, and on YouTube it's Papa Stash.
Yeah, 102.
Papa Stash 102. Amazing lessons. Teach a lot about blues rock playing. You can see he's doing some hybrid little chicken picking country stuff.
Cheating is what that is.
That's good, dude. That's not cheating. You're doing wonderfully. And so if you like that kind of country blues rock sound, this is your cat. He really knows what he's doing, and it sounds amazing. Okay, and he teaches from a perspective that is not very theory heavy, which is great. So if you are not, if you're like, I don't know any theory, I don't want to know theory, he's going to show you in a way that you don't have to get real thick into theory.
Right.
In fact, just before this track here, we were talking about, and we're going to talk about that today because we got a little bit heavy yesterday.
Okay.
We're going to lighten it up today.
Okay.
But before we do that, you're going to go visit BrettPapa.com, all that good stuff. And you're also going to go to Instagram. Why are you going to do that? If you go to my Instagram, there are 2 posts there. One of them looks like this, and then there's another one from yesterday. Look, that one's moving. That's cool.
Well, check that out.
So you're going to leave a comment on there. You have to be following. So 2 things. Here it goes. You have to be following. You've got to leave a comment. If you do that, you'll be up for winning a lifetime membership to the Unstoppable Guitar System /365. It's like a over $500 value. Lifetime lessons. Okay, it's cool. And I'll send this book out to you. So you got a physical something too. Okay, so that's one winner's going to win that today. And it'll be announced in Instagram stories after this broadcast. You got it? I'll mention it again later. So now that you guys are good with that, also please like, comment, and share. Do that right now. We're going to be bebopping back and forth between Facebook and YouTube. Okay? Now, for that question, Brett, what got you into guitar, bro?
It was, I think it was a trifecta. I was a child of the 80s, obviously.
Yeah.
But it was right when Michael Jackson, Billy Idol, and Van Halen 1984 came out.
Oh, yeah.
So first it was my mom brought home Thriller. And I immediately beat it, was turned on, and I was like, what is that?
What just happened?
And who is that?
Yeah.
And then literally at the same time, my brother came home with, what was it? With the Billy Idol album with White Wedding, but it was right when Rebel Yell was about to break too. So I was like,
Steve Stevens.
The best guitar parts ever.
Yeah.
And so...
and he stayed out of the way and just the whole nine yards, but still had that edge.
Yeah, and if you're going to listen to what guitar parts really can do to make an album, that Rebel Yell album has some of the greatest guitar parts of ever on it. And so it was that. It was like me jumping around with a little broom.
Yeah.
And then
How old were you?
I was 7, I think.
Yeah.
And then...
so you started playing at 7?
No. It took a while, so this is what kind of got the whole thing going.
You're like, well, I'm picking up the broom, but it's not the same.
It just had this magical thing. Yeah. And then, fast forward, we had a friend from Oklahoma come stay with us, and he brought the 1984 album out. And after that, I was just like, the music, hard rock is my jam.
Specifically, Hot for Teacher?
Panama, Hot for Teacher,
Good
Top
night.
Jimmy, all that stuff. And then... one of my friends got a guitar when I was about 11, and I was like, this is not fair. Everything I want in my being is to be able to do some Van Halen.
Right.
And so it was kind of getting a really cheap, crappy guitar and buying Van Halen 1. That was the first album I ever bought on my own.
Yeah.
And after that,
Chock
I was like,
full of licks. Oh. That should be the name of the album.
Yeah, I mean, and just the fire in the playing, you hear Eruption, and which is amazing, but then there's I'm the One and all these just terrifying, guitar phrasing stuff. So that's really what was just like, I'm in. Yeah, beautiful. Randy Rhoads tribute album came out, all that stuff. Right. And so those are my 2 main albums.
So you're into Ozzy, Blizzard of Oz, and all those before? Yeah,
love Ozzy.
Right. Yeah.
And then I got into Bark at the Moon. All these things happened at the same time because that's when guitar really started taking off on MTV.
Yes.
And so I'm sitting here at home, just like, what do I turn on MTV? And it's all these just burning guitar players. Rap.
I bet you if they looked at I bet you they looked at how many guitar players came out if you took the, you know, the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, what have you, I bet you in the 80s, I bet you so many guitar players started playing then because of those albums.
Well, it's almost like the same revitalization that Hendrix did, right? He came out and all of a sudden it was just like everyone wants to play like Hendrix, and I think Van Halen was that next.
Yeah. But there was so many bands, and it was such a upfront instrument.
For sure.
You know,
Motley Crue's and all this.
Rat, like all this.
Even the pop stuff had just ripping guitar in it.
There was always a solo. I'm like, when's the solo coming?
Yeah, right.
It is, and
there was always some ripping session guy laying it down.
Exactly.
But that's really what started it all.
Nice.
What about you?
For me, it was Def Leppard. Oddly enough, Foolin'. Pyromania album. Quiet Riot came out.
Quiet Riot.
And then it was Ozzy and Metallica and like all those albums like circa 83, 84. Of course, all the Van Halen stuff, Rat. Like I was just obsessed.
Yeah.
I was just like, I don't know what this is, but I must do this.
Yeah. And they were such good showmen too. They like were jumping around like maniacs.
And did you have the hair?
I did. I had some hair. I had the full mullet. I had like the whole. I went through all the phases.
Was it very, very poofed, or was it more?
I had the wave on top and the mullet in the back. Yeah. So I was like Duran Duran meets Van Halen.
Oh God, I love it.
Yeah, it was embarrassing.
You've seen some of mine with the hair.
Yeah.
It was high. It was very high. Beautiful. I love it. So everybody starts off with some sort of muse, if you will. For some, it's Muse.
Yeah.
For some, it's that band is absolutely amazing. So there's always something typically that we reach for. And so for those, I get this question all the time. I'm sure you do too, Brett. It's people say, how can I stay motivated? And like for me, it's like I stay motivated by listening and going, oh dear God, like what is that? You know what I mean? And it may not even be a guitar player. It may just be some other type of music.
Yeah, music in general.
So, what I would say is find some guitar players that really impress you. Find some music that impresses you and try to learn that. Mm-hmm. Would you say something similar?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, learning is a huge part of that process because something has
being inspired.
Yeah, it has to inspire you to play and to pick it up.
There has to be a reason to go, damn it, I'm not getting it, but I'm going to keep going.
Well,
I'm
and
going to stay here all day working on this lick.
Yeah, right.
Like, what are you going to get at the end? You get to play the lick. You get to spend
satisfaction.
8 hours on a lick, and at the end you're like, I know this lick.
Yeah. Well, and I remember vividly, like when you first learned the. It was like I'm playing Ozzy. And that was all it took.
Yeah.
Now the next part I couldn't do for like another 3 years, but anyways, I could play the beginning, you know, or the Iron Man lick, or yeah, and so that's a really important motivator is to be able to pick something simple enough that you can do it, and that gives you the confidence.
It's like you're inserting yourself into that band for a moment in time, you know?
Yeah. It's good times.
I love it. I can still feel, and when I'm reading the comments of students in my program or on YouTube or whatever, their feeling is palpable. Like I can feel what they're feeling now is what I was feeling back then. Right. And it kind of brings it back. Obviously, it's not the same. It's not like when I was 15 and I was just starting to just
consumed.
Be like, just obsessed. But there's something about that when they go, oh man, I learned this, and it just, so cool. I'm sounding good. I'm playing some blues, and you can feel that excitement. I friggin' love that.
Yeah,
friggin' love that
for sure.
So, what we're gonna do is we're gonna get to some questions here, but I did want to talk about what we did there right in the beginning of the program, where literally we're just vamping over an A minor 7. Let's see where this is. An A minor 7 and a D7. Okay, this is a track that is on YouTube. I literally just found it this morning. I was goofing around.
Too.
2-chord backing track in A minor. So if you want to search that, that's what you could look for. 2-chord backing track in A minor, and you'll find it. It's a funk backing track, and so. We talked a little bit yesterday. We're going to keep this really simple. The reason that we picked a very simple track is so that you can understand the mentality behind riffing over something like this. And there are scales that you can go to, riffs that you can go to that are just going to work for both chords.
Yeah.
But in this case, when you're in the key of A minor, what we call the 4 chord in a minor key is a minor chord. So it typically is going to be D minor.
Yeah.
But when you put a D7 chord in there, that's a major chord, and it so happens to be a 7th chord. So there's a couple new notes basically that are being added. And I didn't. Now that I'm thinking about this will give you an example. Is that when I was thinking about that just now, as we were riffing, the only thing I was thinking about on that D7 was the 7th, and I totally freaking forgot that the 3rd was in there. Anyhow, I'm kind of getting off on a tangent here. But here's the deal. So what happens is you've got this A minor chord here, right? And obviously the A minor pentatonic scale works really nicely over there. Right? It works perfectly over that. But then if you throw that D7 in there, well, now you have the 3rd. You're coming up with 2 notes that aren't typically in there. I actually, there's only one note that's not in there. It's from the D7. It's a major chord. So with that being said, what's happening in the minds of a guitar player who's aware of that is you bring that note into what you're doing. And what I say, it's like a tip of the hat, basically. It's like, instead of wearing out that one note and wearing it out, hey everybody, I know what chord we're on. You just kind of throw it in there like a little bit of a spice, and a little bit goes a long way.
For sure.
But when you have that extra note in there, in this case it's a what was it? Oh, it's the a G flat. Okay, a G flat. And when you throw that note in there, basically it's tipping your hat or saying, hey, I recognize that chord. Just like 2 people talking. If we're talking about guitars right now, and then all of a sudden we start talking about something outside of guitars, like music in general, we just start talking, or bass, let's say. And if Papa starts talking about bass, then we're going to start talking about bass together. So essentially that's what we're doing when you're recognizing the chord and then playing the notes that match with that chord. Yeah. Anything you want to say about that?
Yeah, I mean, and that's what he just explained was kind of theory in a nutshell. Like when he was showing me those chords, and I'm honestly, when he talks about theory, it's for real. I don't know theory. I mean, I was like, what is that other chord?
So and that was interesting for me to see the way he was thinking about this, because he broke that chord down, and I could go, oh, cool, that's really cool.
Yeah, and so my whole approach is know the key that you're in, right? So we figured out it was A minor. That's our key center, right? But when this chord comes up, and this is why I always defer back to the Cage system, is because you don't need to know modes. You'll inadvertently discover the mode by just paying attention to those notes. So when this happens, I see this note and I'm like, oh, okay, well, A minor. Cool, I like that. Now, is this note, where else is that in my pentatonic scale? Or where is it right outside of my pentatonic scale? And then in my own mind, I'm like, okay, that's great, right? So you can do like over the A minor. And then when this chord comes up, a cool thing to do, like he was saying, is peppered in there easily, going back and forth between the typical A minor and that sound. Right? Because then you're floating between both of those worlds. And then back to the A minor, right?
Yeah.
So it's just finding that note. Now, we talked a little bit yesterday about, I don't know necessarily the modes. Like I couldn't say what, F Phrygian or whatever.
Yeah.
But once you memorize the shapes of the major scale, you'll start to recognize, right? Because there's only 7. So it's like the pentatonic. Once you know the 5 positions, you know pentatonic, right? Modes are the same way. It's just the same scale shape. So in my mind, I was like, oh, I recognize this. This is from... And so in my own brain, I'm like, oh, okay, I recognize that pattern. And so then I just start looking for octaves, right? And then we have... And then I also noticed that that note was legit too. So you start building that scale. can start hearing that note
Yeah.
as the chord progression goes by, rather than saying like, okay, now you got to play a D7 arpeggio, and just start with the one note and find, you know, and I broke it down into position 3 too. I'm like, well, where's that in position 3? Okay, there's that note. So now when I'm in position 3, I can go. You know, and it starts, one note makes a huge difference in the color of your phrasing.
Indeed.
So just look for the chords first. Find, you know, I always say start with the pentatonic scale and then add the rest of the chords inside that. And then you'll start to like, oh, that chord's coming up. And then it's still your choice whether or not you want to pepper it in there or not.
Yeah, so. And to me, like, I get these questions all the time where they say, you know, what about the modes? Can you teach us the modes? And I'm like, it's almost like someone who really needs to know about the modes probably won't be asking that.
Yeah.
So I feel like the people that are asking about the modes think that if you're going to learn the modes, that all of a sudden these magical melodies are going to come out of your fingers. And the truth is, it never will.
No.
It just doesn't happen like that. But what you're talking about, you will be playing the modes, because typically a mode, it's a version of the major scale, right? And so we're adjusting a note or two, sometimes 3, sometimes, I don't know how many notes one adjusts. I know my modes, but I don't ever think about them, and I don't ever use them.
Yeah.
I can teach them.
I hear them.
But I don't ever think that way.
Yeah.
And so the way you're saying it, if there's only one note that changes, why you got to think about a whole brand new scale? Because really it's just the one note that changes, and that's the only note that you're going to pepper in there anyhow. Otherwise you're going to play the scale.
So
like, oh, now I know the mixolydian. You're going to be playing the mixolydian, and then I'm going to sound like a dude playing scales over over a chord progression.
Scales. It's just the same thing with pentatonic. You know, people learn the pentatonic scale and they think that, you know, by knowing the scale you're going to be able to all of a sudden play the blues, and it's not until you start saying, here's my position 1 over the 1 chord. Those notes are great.
Yeah.
So when you start phrasing with those notes in mind, playing to the chord, that's when it starts to take on a life. You know, the 4 chord comes up. You start paying attention to those notes in the chord. So what you do, you know, an easy way to do if you're going to do the mode train, find out what modes are major and what modes are minor, and then relate it to the pentatonic scale. Okay, so, you know, whatever, say Dorian, right? A Dorian. Okay, I know that's going to work with my A minor pentatonic.
Right.
Now, what are those chords that are different? And so in this instance, it's more that D major instead of D minor sound. And then I just look for that in my pentatonic scale. Oh, there's that note right there. Got it. So over that chord, that's something I want to throw in there.
Yeah.
So I would look at it more from a pentatonic standpoint, and then how do the chords of the progression fit into that scale? That's your frame.
Yeah.
Right? Because then it doesn't really matter. You know, as long as you can start to see those chords, you're going to hit that right note at the right time, and that's what gives it that vibe.
Yeah.
You know, really, who's really good at this is Peter Frampton.
Really?
Like his phrasing is just, it's like, where do all those outside notes come from? And you start to listen to the chords he's playing over, and it's like, oh, okay, that makes sense. You know, like, because he's picking those unique chord tones inside the scale.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's basically blues-based playing.
Yeah.
That he peppers in, stuff like that. Great. If you want to get into that modal sound of playing and really like a blues-based rock, he's an amazing place to start.
Indeed.
Yeah.
I actually sat with Peter Frampton in a Lamaze class.
Oh, come on, dude.
When my first kid was born,
No
Peter
way.
Frampton was sitting next to me, and I'm like,
you're like, do you?
Yeah. I'm like, that's Peter Frampton, isn't it?
Does your wife feel like you do? Exactly.
I'm like,
exactly.
all right, you want to get to some questions?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so, and by the way, if you are new and you didn't hear me say it, for donations, anytime anybody donates via Super Chat on YouTube, we're going to be playing some sort of fun little riff. So, because if I'm on Facebook, I don't know, and then the guys can let me know and all that good stuff. So, yeah, here we go. We're going to start on Facebook, okay? And please leave a question mark, because I'm zipping through these. Otherwise, I'm going to assume that you guys are chatting amongst yourselves, okay? All right.
All right.
When is the tour?
Tis a good question. And how do we get fire on the stage?
The Flying Vegan Burrito Brothers. Did you ever listen to the Burrito Brothers?
You know, I want to say that I have.
That was like
they awesome.
You know, I never got into them, but they were like my music teacher's like one of his favorite groups. So I need to get into them because he was like, just
it's like the Red Elvises too, or whatever.
Oh, my brother loves those guys.
Yeah.
He's like one of those, like a deadhead, but with the Red Elvises. It's weird.
Really?
Yeah, my brother's
a redhead.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why do I choose to play guitar? Why does an artist pick up a brush? Something in life was missing. Guitar was missing. Creative piece I needed. Yeah. Indeed, that's a good one. All right.
Are you like a mega speed reader?
Well, I'm only looking at ones that have question marks.
I
played the Blue Collar Man 8-note lick on first try, second try, third, etc. I was hitting the lick dead on with my fingers with no thought, like fingers had a mind of their own. Is from lots of practice. The Blue Collar Man 8-note lick. I don't know that. Do you know what that one?
That song? I don't. I mean, no. I know the title, but no. I honestly don't know the
like fingers had a mind of their own. Is that from practice? So we talked about this yesterday. That like your repetition literally builds synapses, and that's how I've always thought about it. Maybe what it's doing is it's building that myelin. But I knew something was going on in the brain because you have this intuitive bit, like you know why it is that it's working. You do it more, you get it more. So indeed, that's repetition, especially when you are really highly focused on a specific something. And the way you get highly focused is to practice a lick at a place where you're unsure of it. So at a speed that you're unsure of, or in the beginning when you're just all right, we got a donation.
Sweet.
Yeah, right. Woo! Brian Copeland again for the win.
He's the man.
Just right out of the gate.
Yeah.
Copeland's like $24.99. Bam. Go get yourself some food. Brian, thank you, brother.
That's
so
awesome.
kind. In fact, we're gonna bump over to Facebook now. Brian, dude, that's $50 like in 2 days. That is super duper kind.
The man.
We need to hook Brian up with something. All right, if you could, but anyhow, that being said, if you're riffing over and over and over again, that's building myelin, which is the white substance in your brain that basically insulates your synapses, and it literally makes it to where it is second nature. But it's not second nature before it's like 1,000 times of this is difficult.
Well, and I think it is, maybe you grew up with a riff that you really know in your head, and as you play more, your brain starts to recognize intervals. And so licks will come out easier because it's like, that's another thing that's really good is to try to figure out something like the Star Wars tune or something, really know in your brain, and start to figure out how to play that kind of stuff.
Oh, yes! Harold, always a pleasure when you two get together. Thanks, guys. Thank you, Harold. So kind, brother.
But that really trains you how to be able to hear what's in your head and get it out on your guitar. There's so many iconic, simple anthems that you could do. I mean, like, just go through the John Williams catalog and learn all his like little, the Raiders of the Lost Ark or whatever. The E.T. themes
100%.
and then that really helps too. And then once you start really recognizing intervals and being able to hear and also apply it, like with what you're saying, through repetition. And
intervals, the distance between two notes.
Then it's easier to start getting into that zone and stuff just comes out. It's almost like there's no gap between what you're hearing and what's coming out.
And that's how a lot of the old guys did it, like the heroes before YouTube and everything. Is they just listened. That's how we did it.
Record.
Dear God, trying to slow it down and everything else. But exactly what Brett's talking about. And even before that, to just go to hum a note like that, and then Okay, so there you go. It was a G. Doesn't matter if you know the note or not even, but just hum a note, find it on the guitar chromatically, meaning Don't go jumping around, right? You search one note at a time. Is it higher or lower? Just keep going in half steps. Go up or down a string till you find that note. That's the very starter way to do it. And everybody's got to start there, because a good ear is not, you're not born with that. You're just not born with that. Dear God, if I can tell you a million times, you're not born with that. It's developed. You develop an ear. You're not hearing anything different than you were as a baby. It's not like the notes have different information now. It's just you're doing something different with the information. Now it means something to you. Yeah. Just like a child, you're talking to a child, and you might as well be speaking some other language to them when they're a baby. They hear blah 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 blah. Like right? Charlie Brown. So until they understand what the words mean, same words that you said before, same notes, okay? And then take little melodies like Brett's talking about. It's absolutely powerful.
Creating will get you will develop your ear quicker than anything. Like, get a little chord progression. It's simple, maybe it's like, Last Dance with Mary Jane style, and play that and try to hum something to that, and then just try to figure out what those notes are.
Because, and here's the magic, and this is the deal. You're an artist, because what you're saying is if you just start humming to a chord progression, you literally are playing the right notes. Yeah. Chances are. Yeah. Because the major scale. All those sounds. They're in you intuitively. Okay? They're in your ear. They're in your brain intuitively. So when you start humming a song, how are you doing that? How do you know that scale? How are you magic? Yeah. No, you're just humming it, because we have more control of our voice. But when we come to the guitar here, it's a little bit more difficult, because we don't do this all day long. We have to figure out where the notes are. It's not as intuitive, okay? But yeah, that's a great thing to do.
People typically hum in pentatonic.
Yeah, I believe it. Yeah,
most songs like that. That's the most used scale of all time. Yeah, and so that's a good place to start too, because you'll really start to be able to find your way around that scale.
Yes, indeed, that's great stuff. Nikki is saying, Can we Q&A with a female guitarist? Nikki, get a hold of some female guitar players that you want on the show.
You know who's a great guitar player in town?
Who's that?
Lindsay L.
Oh, Lindsay L's a beast. Yeah. Melissa has written with her. Yeah, she's great.
Really good player. Really good guitarist.
Yeah. Indeed. Yeah, we need to get Lindsay on here. Great guitar player. But yeah, reach out to some of your gal guitar players and tell them about the show, and we would love to have them on here. Indeed. Especially if they're in Nashville. That would make things easier. How do triads and arpeggios fit into the caged soloing in blues rock? You want to answer that?
That's literally what it is. Chords are arpeggios. If you break down the definition of an arpeggio, it's just the notes of a chord played separately. So, an A major arpeggio. We think of arpeggios as these big kind of things, and really it's, three notes, basically.
An arpeggio is a broken chord. You're just playing the notes individually, so it's the same as a chord, just playing them individually. Yeah. And then a triad is a three-note chord.
And so it's one and the same. And then, like, if you take the 1, 4, 5, and then I'm sorry, I'm a little out of tune, but it's like you can sit there and now I'm playing more off of a scale, but those are really arpeggios too, because I'm just breaking up the notes of that chord, right? So, and then, that's, seriously, that's, to me, once I learned the cage system and I thought about arpeggios in that way, like, arpeggios are great because it gets you out of the scale mindset, right? Yeah. It starts to really make you, like, I used to think of position 4, right? If you're an A major, is right here. Right? The cage shape that's inside of that is the C shape. Now, what's cool about starting to pay attention to this arpeggio, so it's... Yeah! Woo! is it starts to get you to pay attention to using the scale more in that way. And so it gets you out of just thinking like a scale. Then when you combine that together with your licks, now, all I did there was combined my A major pentatonic scale, which I know all 5 positions. You got to learn all the positions. Mm-hmm. But I just paid attention to where those chords are, those arpeggios, those triads, same thing, where those were in that scale. And suddenly it's 1,000 times more musical
indeed
than it was. And for me, I'm not the world's greatest improviser. Like in our jams, I'm just like, I know enough to get by, but I'm a creator. Like I would rather sit at home and write
me too.
something out. And so that's, for me, that's been the biggest help is in my writing.
Yes.
I'm paying way more attention to those arpeggios and that stuff, and I'm like, oh, that's when the melodies are more like the voice and less like a scale.
Indeed.
And that's
Indeed.
So that's
I got a question for you after this here real quick. Christopher Rasmussen, thank you so much.
Wow.
Truly appreciate that. We will be having lunch on you today, my friend. Thank you. Thank you so much, brother.
Because of you.
So
not quite on you.
Yes, not on you. No. So the stuff that you're doing there, I know people out there are still like looking at there going, oh, yeah, but when I do that, it doesn't sound like that.
Yeah.
So when the first day that you played guitar, all that came out, right? It was just, it just sounded just like that,
just
right?
ripped right out.
Yeah.
I got heckled by my friends for sucking so bad. And that, it's funny. It's like that adversity. You talk about playing beyond your level. I had all these friends that were so much better than me, and would just heckle me like
because they just started earlier,
I mean, or whatever. Like, or some people are naturally better at things than others, and it was coming from the wrong place to get better because I'll show you, like, but it was that sense of competition, but you have to do that, and that got me technique, but it still didn't get me the phrasing I wanted. And that wasn't until a few years ago, honestly.
Yeah.
And it's going completely back to first grade and doing exactly what I just showed you.
Yeah.
Here's my scale, and let's take position 2 of A major. Right? Then our D chord, right? And then our E chord. So I sit at home, I do this every single day. Taking that, okay, position 2 right there. There's my A chord. Got the D. Now, that's not technically challenging, but that goes exactly with the chords, and that's like something somebody would sing.
And then you start with like a 1-chord jam.
Yeah, and then go back.
So not even using a jam track, just kind of
no, just like
slowly.
This, exactly what I'm doing.
And why do you do that instead of using a jam track?
Because in the beginning, when you're trying to hear melodies in your head, it's less of a distraction. You got bass, you got drums, you got all these other things going, and then you're worried about, I got to stay in time with this chord progression, right? And so if you take it slowly at your own pace and do literally this, use A or E or something where you can use the 1-4-5 and open strings, right? And I'm like, okay, cool. Well, that position 2 sounds great. Well, I also have that A chord here, so how do I move that down? And then what were those notes? Like this note. When we talked about intervals. Oh, okay, over the A chord, that's my 5. I kind of like that. Yeah. Listen to what the third sounds like. The third's like, we are in A. It's like one of those notes, right? And then, right? So I'm like hearing those melodies over that open A string, and then I'll go, okay, well, how do I move that around? That sounds good. What's that? That's my 1. Right? So there's my notes. Then once you get the simple melody, you can add the other, like the double stops. You can make your licks more sophisticated.
About this, so what Brett's basically doing here is jamming over a jam track. Essentially, it's the same deal, but he's saying, let's not have the jam track for a minute, because this will allow you to have your brain, it'll give it the opportunity to say, what is happening here, what are the shapes, yada yada, as opposed to if the jam track's going, it's kind of performance time.
Yeah.
And you know what you know.
Yeah. You'll default to your standard licks.
Yes, exactly. Where this, he's searching, he's digging in the dirt, looking for new stuff. This is also pushing outside the comfort zone.
Yeah, for sure. And then you just change the chord. We're all familiar with the 1-4-5 blues thing, but then you just change the progression. So like A, F sharp, D, E, right? And so A. I'll just stay in position 1. It's not in this scale, but I know my E chord's here. So.
Yeah.
And then, I'm right above my root. I'm going to go back to the root and resolve.
Yeah. That's a great lesson right there, man. Yeah.
I can play with all those notes. And like, okay, well that wasn't necessarily what I wanted to hear, that didn't sound necessarily right. You can mess around, like start to play with those intervals and like, okay, over the D I really like this sound. Right? And remember you have a D chord here too.
Yeah. Not only that, it's really soothing and it's rewarding.
It is.
You go, oh yeah, I found that note. Yeah.
The creation process is really what I've found. When people are like, dude, that was the light bulb moment, it's because they're slowing down enough.
Yeah.
You flip the equation. It's not the scale that's going to make you a good soloist. No. It's the chord.
Yeah.
Right? That's where all of your melody is developed from. The chord. I say it like this in my courses. Think of the scale as a map.
Yeah.
But the chord tones and the chords, that's your destination.
Yes.
That's where you're trying to get to. The map is just other streets you can take to get to the same place, right? Yep. Then slow down. Like I said, I do this. I've been playing 30 years. I do this every single day where I'll sit with those different chord progressions and figure those little notes out. And what's cool is then you can throw in chords that don't even fit into the typical scale.
Yeah.
But you're able to make a melody out of it because you're paying attention to the chord.
Right, yeah.
Right? And so it becomes less about scales. Like soloing is not about scales. Soloing is about melody, and melody's developed from a chord.
Yeah, if you listen to Stevie Ray Vaughan, he uses all 12 notes.
Yeah,
he uses all
the time.
12
I mean,
notes.
Like if I stuck to the scale, I would never get this lick. All those things that I love in my own playing that I do all the time, all those. I love that one. All that stuff. That's not. That's this thing right here, but it's chromatic notes. Yeah, and it's being able to go by those. So like some of my favorite licks are filling in the notes of the pentatonic scale,
right?
Which is like. You start to speed them up.
Yeah.
It twists the ear enough, but it's not from a scale, and I'm really paying attention to. I want that A major sound in a minor world.
Yeah.
I love it because it's more like the Van Halen thing. It's like a,
friggin' love it. Yeah. I love it.
Just another coffee infused rant.
All right, we're gonna start getting to some questions here, and I'm sure we'll get distracted again.
That was a long answer to a simple question.
No, I love it, man. Sage? What do you think of Dean guitars? So many. I don't have really an opinion on them. I've played them before, but it's been years. Like in the '80s, I played.
Those Dimebag guitars are pretty fun.
Are they?
Some serious dive bombs on them.
Yeah.
Nice flat fretboard.
Yeah. Oh, totally flat?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Dimebags.
Yeah. Chelsea Constable. You ever heard of her? I haven't heard of her. Have her send me a link or something. Maybe Instagram or something, because I'll probably forget after the show, but I'll look her up. How much emphasis should an intermediate player put on transcribing and learning solos note for note versus working on improv technique? You want to take that one?
I'm a huge fan of learning licks. You know what I like about transcribing solos almost more than anything is learning a person's feel. Like learning to learn the solo, but like David Gilmour. I love David Gilmour because his solos aren't fast.
Yep.
But to get the feel of his bends and his vibrato, that's like learning a solo. And really, there's a great, I don't know what you use, but I use the thing called Riff Station, and it's it basically pulls.
Yeah, you turn me on to
that. You can loop it, and you can enhance guitar frequencies and whatever. Really great learning tool. But you can slow it down, and you really hear all the nuances that makes a player really what it is. And so why David Gilmour uses the pentatonic scale almost exclusively, he sure plays it different than a lot of people. And you start to hear that feel. Or Eric Clapton. Like, I never realized what a great player Clapton was until I started trying to transcribe his solos and realized how he plays with time is so different than other guitar players. Because what I would naturally think the lick where it should be timing wise, it's not. It's like a little bit more, behind the beat.
Yeah.
Versus, like when I'm trying to figure it out, I'm like, and it's looped, I'm playing it and I'm always coming in too early. I'm like, God. And so it teaches you to sit.
Yeah.
John Mayer does a really good lesson on that when he breaks down, what is the song he did? He does one of Clapton's tunes on his
I think I saw that video the
and
other
it's
day,
really good because he talks about Clapton's timing.
Yeah.
And how he really waits to that very last second to be able to put his phrasing in there with the beat.
Yes.
It's a good lesson. Timing and feel is probably more of what you really want as a player than technique.
Yeah, and when you're learning somebody else's solos, you're learning the vocabulary not just of that guitar player, which is fantastic, but you're also, they didn't come up with those licks either, right? I mean, they did, but they had their inspiration. Yeah. So, like, if you're listening to Jimmy Page, then you're getting some Robert Johnson stuff and everything that Page was listening to. So
it's their pancake recipe.
Yeah.
Pancakes are pancakes.
Pancakes are pancakes. If you could play one guitar for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Oh, that's a tough one. God, I don't know. I play a Strat all the time, which I love. Yeah. But there's something so satisfying when I pick up my Telly and play it. Yeah. Like, I really... Because the Telly sits between two worlds. It sits between a Les Paul and a Strat. Yeah. And I
say it all the time. I don't play that guitar enough, but if I only had one guitar, I'd probably pick the Telly.
It's my number one recording guitar. Yeah. I love that
thing. Because it can sound... It'll rock out.
It's simple, too.
Punk, great for blues, great for country, obviously.
It forces you to pull stuff out because of its simplicity.
Brett Papa has totally changed the way I play. He has opened a world for me.
Yes!
Nice. Thank you, Brian.
Thanks, Brian. It's all because of you.
The Junior, this is a 59.
This guitar I'm stealing it.
It's tasty, right?
He doesn't realize it, but it's going home with me.
The first guitar that I had was a Peavey Razor.
Oh, come on.
You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Peavey Razor. If we can get a picture of that, we'll put that up on the screen. It's possibly the most ugly. Yeah. It's the ugliest guitar.
Do you remember like the Vandenberg Peaveys? Like the White Snake
those
ones
were hot.
With the flipped headstock?
Yeah, I liked that.
My first Strat was a Peavey. Yeah.
It was a Strat?
It was a Peavey Strat.
No, Pacer, that's Kramer. Sorry.
It's something like that, though.
Yeah. Have learned all of the notes to the intro to The Wall, but my picking isn't hitting the strings that it should. Any suggestions? Yeah, it's just rehearsing it, just doing it over and over and over again, just practice. You know, you didn't learn to walk the first time either. You probably took you a few hundred times, and look at you now. Walking, talking, eating fool.
Eat a nice bowl of Instagrams for a complete balance. That's good.
What was that? Instagrams.
Said somebody eat what a Instagram, and it says breakfast cereal ? And the person below it said one of the people below it said eat a nice bowl of Instagrams for a complete balanced breakfast. That's funny.
Do you have a pain in your index finger joints? I've got it after intensive workouts for a long time. I've already found some videos doing stretching and drinking fish oil now. There you go. It has a lot to do with supplements. Yeah. Papa will tell you. Yeah! What do we got?
Love that intro.
I love that. It's so funny.
And it's
GW, thank you for what you do for the vets, right?
Yes.
Thank you so much, GW. You are so welcome, my friend. We love our vets.
Yeah.
So yeah, pain in your fingers. If you're talking about working out or guitar working out, but it does have much to do with what you're eating. If you're eating inflammatory foods, your fingers are going to get inflamed. Your body's going to get inflamed. So fish oils are really good for that. Or
turmeric,
flax oil. I do hemp oil. I buy the gallon, and in the morning I just go. I drink so much. Not really, but I have lots of that stuff.
Yeah.
Like 3 tablespoons a day. Great. There was another
also one thing I really want to tell people is go back to your guitar. If you got it right now, go back to your guitar, pick it up, and realize you don't have to play and press nearly as hard as you think you do. Go like this. Take a string until it's just touch it, right? Dead. So the string's dead. And then put the most minute amount of pressure you can. Keep picking until it makes a sound. And you're going to find out you're pressing 5 times harder than you need to press.
Yep.
And so that'll help too.
Here, this one may be for you, Brett. I'm having a tough time playing Hendrix-style chords where you hammer the 5th string and let the 4th string ring, barring the pointer finger. My fingers just mute the bottom of the string. Any tips? Okay, well that's a technique bit, right?
Yep. You sorry, you're probably talking about those kind of double stop licks. And Hendrix always does that, right? He lets the bottom string ring. What you want to do is sometimes people, they get so hung up on doing the Hendrix thing like this, and it's cool. Yeah. But some people's hands
a little bit smaller.
Yeah, or they try to do it too flat like this. And so what I say is, if you're going to do the Hendrix thing, work more the side of your thumb.
Yeah. Right?
So it opens up your palm, and then you want to keep this finger, the hammering finger, a lot of people come down flat like this. You want to really be on that tip. And just practice that.
It's all repetition. All repetition.
And then learn more Hendrix songs.
Yeah.
Forces you to get good at it.
Ashley Jackson's saying how to play guitar faster. If you're a newbie, then just practice. But if you've been playing for a long time, you've got to find out what your edge is. You got to find out what your ability is. Get the metronome out. Honestly, playing with a metronome will make you faster.
Way faster.
Right? Not only because you're quantifying it and you're saying, okay, this is what I'm at now. Now I need to push myself. But also, those that play in time play faster because you're not having to play catch up and getting confused.
That's a funny point. Like learning and transcribing songs too. Sometimes the solos I thought were super fast are slower than you actually thought. They're just really fluid.
Yeah.
But
it sounds so clean.
The Paul Gilbert Intense Rock video was what taught me how to build all my speed with alternate picking, and it's simple licks like alternate picking runs like that. So it's down, up, down, and then the next string's an up. And so it's setting the metronome to do that, and then he would modify the phrase. Right? So you can go through your whole scale like that. Right? Doing exercises that'll help. And then he also did the same kind of thing. that kind of thing to a metronome. Make sure you can do it cleanly 3 to 4 times before you crank it up to the next, speed. Also, that gets you really like in a scale mindset. The chromatic exercises, just notes in a row, are really good because you can make all to a metronome, but you can make finger twisters. You can be like 1, 4, 3, 2, and then mix them all up, or like 1, 2, 4, 3. So you can mix up all these and then do that sort of thing. It's really mundane, silly licks like that, but that really does help. Practice to a metronome. If you do practice to a metronome, like I said, get it 4 times clean before you go up to the next 2 beats. You put 20, 30 minutes into that a day, you're going to drive your neighbors crazy, but you will get much cleaner and much faster.
Indeed. For a very serious question here, do you think Arya will kill Sansa?
I don't even know what that is.
That's Game of Thrones. Yeah, of course. Sansa is like she needs to go
It's so
away.
funny. One of my students is a big HBO guy.
Don't watch one episode.
And he always tries to get me to do it. And I'm like, bro,
Dude.
not only A, I don't have a TV, but B, I'm not going to do it because I know I'll get sucked into a series and waste
suck. But it's so good.
100 hours of my life.
Yeah, it's a time suck, but it's amazing. It's amazing. Is it possible to play guitar without making that face?
No,
I don't think that's possible.
Ask Stevie Ray Vaughan that, or Hendrix.
Yeah.
Or Van Halen.
I did a video for that years ago. Did you ever see that?
No.
It's called Blues Guitar Without Making a Face or something like. It was based off of laughing without smiling. You ever done that?
No.
Laugh without smile?
That's pretty tough.
It's tough.
I did see something that a guy last night, Roy Buchanan, live at Austin City Limits. His face is just stone cold, and he has some licks that would just bake your noodle.
Really?
Guthrie's like, bro, you gotta watch this video. And I'm like, okay. And Roy Buchanan, if you've never heard Roy Buchanan, have you never heard him?
No, I have, yeah.
Oh, this is ludicrously good. And this is like, bear in mind, it's like in the mid 70s, early 70s, and he's terrifying. Half the time you think he's possessed because he's just doing the most radical, but there's gold in there for sure. But the only thing he does is go like this.
That counts.
Yeah. Could have been influence of something else.
Oh yeah, right. Okay, man, we're going way back in the archives here. Okay, man, I went all the way to the bottom there. Okay, so here we go. Do either of you use economy picking when improvising, or only when you've already got a part set in your mind? Go.
I don't use economy picking. I use hybrid picking. Like so.
Hybrid picking, yeah.
I use my fingers. I used to be really good at alternate picking, and I went to MI, and the guy tried to change my picking, and it's ruined my picking.
He tried to change what? Alternate picking?
He tried to change my picking. I picked more this way,
yeah.
like kind of like this.
At an angle,
yeah,
right?
At an angle like this, and he tried to shift it like this, and I was never able to get the speed back because I tried his way for.
I think picking like that is up to the individual.
It totally
figure it
is.
out. Like,
well,
when people try to weasel down into that, I'm like, leave the kid alone.
Yeah.
Like, that's just a matter. You're gonna figure it out.
Look at Gary Moore or George Lynch, or George Lynch does it like this, or all these players. Anyways,
yeah.
So since that was my picking speed was no longer available to me, I just started doing hybrid.
Yeah,
and that is magic.
So I do use economy picking. When I'm improvising, yeah, sure, but like when I think of economy picking, I think of guys like Yngwie Malmsteen who are really doing long phrases that if you didn't do economy picking, there would be no way to possibly, well, I won't even say that. It would be very difficult to play it like that.
Yeah.
So,
you know who's good at? You ever watch the is it Troy Grady? You ever watch those videos?
Oh yeah, he's great.
Really great YouTube channel, and he takes in like the fast ripping guitar players, and he puts a camera right here so you can see how all these different guys do their picking. It's pretty cool.
Michael Filico, I can't even pronounce your name. I'm so sorry, my friend. Thank you. Thanks for the Hendrix tip. Nice lunch for y'all. Thank you, brother.
Sweet.
Thank you so much. That's truly kind, man. So yeah, I do economy picking. I do, here's the deal. When I just started playing, I did all economy picking, which for those folks that don't know what that is, basically it's you pick however you want, but technically what's happening is
it's like down, up, down, down, right? Down, up, down, down.
It's like when you're going, like for instance, if you had a lick, I'm going to simplify, I'm going to make this real simple. If you got a lick where you're going down, up, and then on the next string, it's down. That's a bad example. Down, up, down. You would have to go down, up, down. But let's say you had 3 notes on that first string. Let's say you were doing something like... Then basically what alternate picking says is you go down, up, down, and you go past the lower string, and then you pick up, which is the exercise you learned from Paul Gilbert, right? Mm-hmm. But what economy picking says is it says down, up, down, and the next string is down, so why wouldn't you just continue to go down? So it's like this, down, up, down, 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 up, down, down. In the 365 program, I have a whole day dedicated to that. So you start off super easy, and then you go through 52 weeks of this. By the end of it, you can economy pick all sorts of bits. And you'll be way better than me at it, because I don't... Because, I practiced it in practice, but for like...
It really does work. I have a buddy who's terrifying guitar player, and he does a lot of economy. And he was like, dude, you gotta do economy picking.
Yeah. And what you do is you do think out those licks ahead of time. You work those licks out. And then what happens is it starts to become part of you.
Yeah.
But...
it's weird. It's weird to first try to start doing, especially if you're used to alternate picking.
Oh my God, it messes with your mind.
Yeah.
So with me, I always did economy picking, and Yngwie Malmsteen came out with that first album, and he goes, well, the way he does that is it's all alternate picking, and I'm like, really? Okay. So I dedicated myself for the rest of for like decades. I'm just like, I got to get that. Could never do it. Found out a few years ago that. Absolutely, he wasn't doing alternate picking. He was doing economy picking.
I don't,
Thanks, Brad.
I don't know how he does it. He's got the weirdest.
I know. Yeah.
And it's just like, and his hand is barely moving.
I don't know. Yeah,
Yngwie's a freak of nature.
Insane. So yeah, practice your economy picking. Do it. Dig in. It takes a little bit of time to get that down, especially if you're used to alternate picking.
Hemp oil is at any health food store.
What's somebody saying?
Somebody asked where you buy hemp oil.
Okay, I buy my hemp oil. If you go onto Amazon and you search hemp oil organic, 1 gallon, because I get it by the gallon, and it's like.
Search for hemp oil organic on your iPhone.
Siri.
Yeah, not right now. We'll talk later. So search organic hemp oil 1 gallon, because I buy it in this 1 gallon jug, and it's like $70-something or something.
Nativa makes it really good.
It lasts, and I got Nativa too. Those little bottles.
They're all non-GMO organic stuff. They're great.
Yeah. And that stuff is great for anything, man. For thinking sharper, for cutting down inflammation. Like, name an ailment, hemp oil will help with it. It is magic stuff, Do you think a good vibrato can make or break a solo?
Yep, I do.
And you can also know who's playing.
Yeah.
Angus Young's vibrato. Oh. This has such a signature sound, or B.B. King, or Zakk Wylde, or
man handles that thing. I don't know how he does that, man. It's all that weightlifting.
Any tips, suggestions for finding people to jam with or to start a band?
Just look in your local papers or...
Man, Craigslist is where I would always go.
Yeah. I heard about it, people developing a website will help with pledging it.
Yeah.
It's all about, like, per state, per city.
Yes, I've seen such things, yeah. But Craigslist is a good one. When I was a kid and learning to play records, I had no idea of the tunings, A440, half down, etc. Was it same for you guys? How did you know what tuning to use?
I didn't, but you'll run into that low E string, and it's like, why it's lower than my lower. So then you'll figure it out.
Yeah. So usually you listen for, and also if they're soloing an E flat, they're down a half step.
Yeah.
if you ever notice Stevie Ray Vaughan, all of his stuff, if you ever try to cop it, especially like Scuttlebutt or something,
the open strings, yeah,
it's a half step lower. So that's how, you know, listen to what key they're in. If they're in A flat, if they're in G flat, if they're in D flat, E flat, then they're probably tuned down a half step. Or if they're in D, if you hear a low D,
yeah, like Motley Crue stuff's like tuned down a whole step.
Yeah, never knew that.
Yeah,
until I
listen to that low chugging E. So somebody asked about the 6th string where I'm playing Hendrix style chords. The most common mistake I find is people attack it trying to put their thumb straight up and down, like this. You know?
Yeah.
And then have this part of their thumb. To me, shift it over this way.
100%.
And play on the side of your thumb. I don't have big
I always say to
hands.
use that little crease. There's a little crease right there on your thumb. If you just use it, that's the magic place. And then once it gets on there, you just slightly pull it back.
Yeah.
It's a finesse thing, right?
It is. It takes a while to
You're
get
not
it.
going to get it like that. But once you do get it, you'll be like, dude, no effort at all.
Yep.
And that's life.
It is life.
That's life, man. It's like it's not trying so hard. It's just doing the right stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Harley Benton guitars. Have you ever tried those?
No, huh? Tommy Emmanuel, yeah. Oh, so she's got to be great. This girl she keeps talking about. If she's playing with Tommy Emmanuel, she's
exactly. There's another gal.
He's
that
in town too.
Yeah, he lives here now. Yeah. So many great players live here now.
The best.
It's crazy.
Robin Ford lives here now. Like all sorts of.
It's nuts.
Peeps.
Yeah. I see Mark Slaughter like
all
the time.
He's a ripping guitar player.
He's a great guitar player. I see him at Bluesman whenever I'm having my guitar.
Oh, come on, dude.
He's there all the time.
I still love Fly to the Angels. Love that song. Blue Collar Man is Styx. Oh, right. Okay.
Okay. Yup. I have trouble with double stops. My finger mutes the bottom strings. Any tip?
Yeah.
Keep the bottom string. Any tips?
Keep your hammering finger rounded more. You know, like people will kind of, people will kind of do like the flat, like this kind of thing to try to hammer on it. And it's typically this finger that's muting out. So this finger has to be like, pretend your fingers are like a C, right? And you want to be right on the
Well, he's saying it's muting the bottom string. He does not want to mute the bottom string.
Yeah, I think the bottom string is meaning the higher string, maybe?
Yeah, I think he's saying
so
this.
if he's hammering like this, you're going to mute out that bottom string.
And he's just talking.
Sweet. Woo! Whereas if you curve this finger more, you know, shift your hand this way so you have more of more ability and more space.
Yeah, so do the opposite of what he's saying, because he's saying he's muting that string by mistake. So actually, that's what you're doing. What Brett's saying right now. So instead, shift your hand back
this way.
He's saying this string keeps getting muted.
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying. Because of this hand that he's hammering, probably.
Oh, possibly.
Yeah, and then it's muting out that string below, the bottom string. Type back and let us know if it's, when you say bottom, you mean the higher string or the lower string.
And also, are you hammering or just what's going on? Brent, thank you so much. We want Papa Stas, Sage and the Sage has to eat well. Thanks for answering my question yesterday. You're welcome, Brent. Thank you so much, dude. Super duper kind, bro. Super duper kind. Where are we gonna eat today, huh? Now they're making me hungry.
Right?
Oh, hold on. Now I lost my place. Hold on. Here we go. So, okay, and we asked that you can only play one guitar for the rest of your life. Did we say that? Yeah, we did. Yeah. Okay, going to the bottom, and then I'm going to pop back over to Facebook here. Band in a Box, Max saying. Do you use Band in a Box?
What is it? Oh.
Band in a Box.
And somebody put Man in a Box.
Band in a Box is a great program. Man in a Box. Band in a Box is a great program for jam tracks. Yeah, indeed. Get it. It's super fun. Can I smoke hemp instead of using oil? You can, but I don't think you'd want to smoke this stuff. You just need to drink a bunch of it because it's it's not like CBD.
You can do pills too.
And it's not CBD because I've done the research on it, and which is really easy to do, but CBD has hemp in it, but hemp doesn't have CBD in it. It's a different part of the plant or something. So, but it's magic. Do you recommend learning every note on the fretboard? Will it really help?
Can.
Yeah. If you mean like knowing the notes,
Yeah.
like Brett, what's the name of this note? Do you know?
F sharp.
F sharp. Is it?
I just cheated.
I got to think about it. Well, you didn't cheat because
I
you
cheated
did.
'cause I looked
Okay,
at this one.
so Brett does exactly what I do. Here's the deal. I
at
don't
the
know.
octaves.
I don't think any guitar player in the history of ever has the notes memorized like you think they do. They have them memorized like Brett just did or like I did. You have your open strings that you memorize. You know them at the 12th fret, what I call springboards. You know them at the 5th fret because you tune the guitar. You know them at the 17th fret because that's an octave of the 5.
Mm-hmm.
And then you use those springboards to go, oh, it's a blank. You saw me do that yesterday. I was like, what's this? Or today.
I figured it out through octaves.
Yeah, because it equates to this. It would be like saying, can you count to 1 billion? Of course you can count to 1 billion. Have you ever done it? Nope. How do you know you can do it? Because there's a system, right? We've got the decimal systems and we know 1 through 9. So we can just keep adding a 0 and we can do this. So the guitar's the same way. And if you showed Steve Vai this part of the neck right there.
He'd know his fretboard.
Well, I'm saying if you just said that fret right there,
Oh, right.
and he didn't know anything
Yeah.
else, it looks like every other 22
Yeah.
frets you got on your guitar. It doesn't have any sort of specific. So I guess what I'm saying is don't think that the fret itself you're going to memorize. What you're doing is you're memorizing, you're using association.
Mm-hmm. And if you want to learn how to read music, learn all your notes for sure.
Yes,
that makes
by
it a
all
lot
means. You got to
easier.
do that. You got to do that, man.
But I don't know how to read music.
Can I use Old English on my fretboard? I don't have linseed. Well, I wouldn't do that.
You know, I've used coconut oil on mine.
Coconut oil seems natural.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, I used lemon oil for years, and then somebody said don't use that. Then it dries the fretboard out. Doesn't sound right to me. But anyhow, there's this stuff called Guitar Honey, and the only reason that I mention it is because it's in the store too. Kit.com/YourGuitarSage. You need to get a store, bro.
I have I got
You
some
have a
merch
store?
coming.
Okay, all right.
I do. You're right. I mean, I have a store for my products, but like
Yeah.
other stuff.
Because then the kids can see it, you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? But there's this stuff called Guitar Honey, and it was suggested by Greg Ellis, my guitar tech, because he says it's just the best, and it really works. And I'm going to trust him.
The wonderful things it does.
Because of the wonderful things it does. Who was your teacher at MIT?
Steve Travato. And then I took privates from a guy named Nick Nolan, who's he's the one that ruined my picking, but he was a great teacher. And then I would do open counselings with Scott Henderson, which was ridiculous.
Yeah.
He's like full Rain Man. He would sit there and he'd bring in his little ashtray and he'd smoke in these like tiny rooms and he'd just be like, yeah, definitely can do blues. I mean, it was full Rain Man. And it was amazing. But he had a book, like, I'm not kidding, a book that was probably this thick. Big binder.
Yeah.
And he goes through and he literally notates every lick he likes. He listens to music and he'll notate every single lick.
Wow.
And then if he comes up with a lick he likes, he'll notate that as well. So he has a freaking encyclopedia.
Wow. And he probably knows what page and everything.
So you're asking about how important is it to learn.
But he's probably a savant.
Licks.
And knows this in some...
But the point being is when he came out with his blues album, we asked him, like, how did you get so good at blues? And he's like, I went and I listened to Stevie Ray Vaughan, Hendrix, and I wrote down every single lick I really liked, and I learned it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I mean, listen to the songs are they're good, but the blues playing on Scott Henderson's Tore Down House or whatever it's called, it's some of the best.
Beast mode.
Oh my God, it's ludicrously good.
Do you practice more acoustic or electric, or do you recommend your students play?
Well, what do you think?
These days I'm practicing. I play more electric, but I do more teaching than I do playing, which is obvious when I play.
I'll tell you what. If I had that thing that you got on the back of your acoustic, I'd be playing a whole lot more acoustic.
The Tonewood amp on the back of the acoustic, and it is absolutely so much fun.
Amazing.
THC does have its own beneficial properties. That is true. That's not an opinion. It's just true. And someone's saying, does the hemp oil show up in drug tests? I don't know. They don't drug test me as a guitar teacher.
No, not if you get the hemp based, it doesn't.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
CBD? What CBD does? With
CBD, if you start getting the CBD oil that really highly concentrated, that has more of the THC blend in it, it will.
But straight CBD won't.
No, not unless it's super like medicinally concentrated.
Right. And Swagger Cat, no, hemp oil does not have THC in it.
No. It does mellow you out though. It can totally take the edge off.
Hemp oil?
Yeah,
not
the
CBD?
the CBD oil,
CBD,
but without the THC.
Dude, I take CBD every single night now.
Yeah.
I've been doing this for
Makes
like
you sleep
2 weeks.
like a bag of rocks.
Dude, I sleep so good.
Yeah.
And it's not, I don't wake up groggy. I wake up at friggin' 3:30.
No, it's
ready to go.
Yeah, for sure.
But dude, I'm out cold.
Yeah.
For like a good 5 hours.
Yeah.
Just dead. I love it. Yeah, but make sure you get a good brand. Get like straight hemp.
All
straight
organic, non-GMO.
Yeah, straight
and
hemp.
remember, just because it says organic does not mean it's non-GMO. Unless it says certified organic.
Really?
Yeah, and you got to be careful because that's the big push now is pharma and all these companies are trying to make their modified version of these things. Even
a-holes.
Marijuana stuff.
On.
So make sure it says non-GMO, certified organic.
See? Can you see why we're bros? Well, there's a bromance because we talk guitars.
If you're gonna go down that road,
and then we talk supplements. Is learning basic chord progressions the best way to master chords and learn the aspects of melody?
It's really important.
Yeah, I think learning basic chord progressions isn't going to teach you much about melody. You kind of have to do what Brett was talking about, like you're kind of thinking about the chord as it's being played and you're playing the melody.
Yeah, if you start picking the notes of the chords separately.
Yeah.
If you're doing that sort of a thing, that'll help develop the melody. Also, it's a radically crazy book, but the Ted Green chord progressions book. Mm-hmm. He does all these typical chord progressions, but does different chord inversions. Yeah. It's crazy, and I've never even been able to get a thousandth of it down.
Oh, yeah.
But if you want to learn chord melodies, he is the master. If you haven't seen Ted Green, look up Ted Green and prepare to have your mind split in 1,000 pieces.
I love it.
Guitar
I bought cannabis stocks, but I can't buy cannabis.
Yeah, imagine that. Move to California or Oregon.
And this guy's saying it will test positive if there's minuscule amounts. I'm bumping over to Facebook here.
Yeah, it depends on the concentration.
Yeah. Okay. Jumping over to Facebook here real quick. Only look for those with a question mark. Friends, real quick, let's take a moment. BrettPapa.com. You got to know about Brett. He's a friggin' amazing player, amazing dude. He knows how to teach. There are players out there who are great players, but they don't know how to teach. Teaching is a whole thing, man. In my case, I just know how to teach. Brett knows how to play and teach, okay?
You play good.
Follow this guy. Seriously, BrettPapa.com. Or go to Papa Stash 102 on YouTube. We're giving away a lifetime membership to the Unstoppable Guitar System, plus this beautiful book right here that I'm going to send out. How do you win this?
Wait, hold on. Tell me about the system.
How do you win this? Brett asks.
Yes, and the system.
I'll tell you about it. So Unstoppable Guitar System is a lifetime membership. But with that and 365, there's 1,000 lessons in it.
Holy
and it keeps growing.
moly.
It keeps growing. I just did a blues series.
Yeah.
Start from scratch. I'm literally scrapping some blues lessons because I want to approach it from this other method, and step by step. It's basically you get in there and you learn step by step, because guys like us who were highly motivated to play ended up learning how to play, but you still leave stuff out. You leave stuff behind, and then you find them like 10 years, 20 years later because no one ever showed it to you in a step-by-step format. Yeah. So that's what that's all about. Oh, nice. And we're going to be giving a lifetime membership away.
How do you get that?
Thank you for asking, Brett. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to Instagram, and there's going to be a post that looks a little bit like this one. Actually, there's one from yesterday and one from today. Follow on Instagram. Leave a comment. We're going to pick somebody. later on today, and we're going to put it inside of Instagram stories. You're going to see it there. For those folks, look, I know there's folks in different countries and what have you, they can't afford guitar lessons. So take advantage of the thousands of lessons that we have on YouTube. Also, I have a free course that you can find at YourGuitarSage.com/30.
What's the free guitar course?
It's like the top 30 lessons every guitar player should learn.
Nice.
Yeah, you know
Look
what I
at
mean?
you. You're so organized.
Dude, I
learned a lot from this guy.
No, dude,
it's true.
Like the step by step. These are the stuff, like literally the first 30 lessons that I would teach any guitar player if you were going to be into jazz, classical, rock, blues, or just campfire. Doesn't matter. It's like the stuff that you got to learn, like knowing the fretboard, knowing these basic chords, knowing how to pick, knowing all sorts of stuff. So that's free for you. That's in the description of the video. Okay. Thank you for that, for allowing us to do that. Oh, and share and like the video, okay? Okay, so I'm on Facebook. I'm going to grab some questions here. We're going to go about 7 more minutes, okay? It takes me James is saying, it takes me several weeks to learn a riff. I still not to timing with recording. What can help my learning curve?
I would get Riff Station, because you can slow it down. And it keeps in pitch. That's how I do it.
Mm-hmm. I always say, you don't, it takes as many times to play the lick as it takes. It's just, it depends on the lick. If you're learning Eruption, well, that's going to take you longer than learning the first riff for Iron Man. Okay? It's going to take longer. Every guitar player is going to take longer. So it takes as long as it takes. And, everybody's starting from a different place. So just keep consistent with it. But what, Brett's talking about is true, because you slow the riff down, and then this is what I love about taking a solo. When I break a solo down and I slow it way down, I appreciate every single lick that dude, whoever it was, Eddie here recently, I can appreciate every little nuance way more than if I were to just be able to rip the solo right out.
Yeah.
I'd love to be able to just do that. But when you appreciate, and then you start doing the analyzation of it and what they were thinking and where they were going, you're like, so much
Especially
more.
Eddie stuff.
Oh
There's if there's Van Halen fans out there, get the Riff Station, which is an amazing. It's
software,
how I learn everything on guitar. But then now you can get, and somebody sent me a bunch of raw Hendrix tracks, which is insane. But I digress.
Yes.
Go search isolated guitar tracks on YouTube or whatever, and then download those and put those into your Riff Station. What the isolated guitar tracks are is they take the literal guitar stems from the original recordings, and all you're hearing is the guitar player playing his guitar part. And then that oftentimes when learning, if it's available, not everything's available, but I can't tell you how many times I thought I knew what a guitar riff was, and I'm hearing what the bass player was doing or whatever, and the guitar's simpler or just totally, like the Hendrix stuff I'm talking about.
Yes.
I listen to it and I'm like, I taught that totally wrong.
Yeah.
The premise and a lot of the licks were right, but the nuances you don't hear like you do when you hear just
Don't
the
you
guitar
hate that
track.
when you teach a lesson wrong?
I do.
Dear God, I've got them out there too. It's otherwise, what are you going to wait till you're a perfect?
How many do you think that you've taught?
Lessons?
Yeah. I mean, you've had
well over 1,000.
Oh, dude, you've got to have one. Your course has more than that, right?
Yeah, well, the course, but I'm saying just like on YouTube, like 1,000-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
how many has Marty done?
Oh, my God.
Dear God.
Probably 4.
5,000, probably.
Probably 4.
Dear Lord. Can you explain chord inversions, please? You want to do that one?
Chord inversions, if you want to learn chord inversions, learn the Cage system, because that's the best way, I think, that it's broken down. It's just taking the root, third, and the fifth in its most basic form and putting a different note on top.
Woo! KSHD Jack, thank you, brother. Wish you guys had been available online 20 years ago when I first tried to learn. I wish we were too.
Yeah, God, no kidding.
I'm very glad to be able to learn from you now. Thanks for what you're doing.
Thank you.
Jack, thank you, brother. So kind.
Yeah, it's just another, so instead of the root being on the top, it's the third being on the top or whatever. And it's just the way that those shapes happen as they go up the neck. Every time you go up the neck, the notes change, so the cluster is going to have a different look. So like in a D chord, here's that. There's a D chord, right? And so you have your root, and you have your different notes of your chord, right? Here, as it goes up to here, it's the same chord, but now there's a different note on top. Right?
And if you notice, what he's doing here is also...
Yeah, it's a piece of a chord.
Or, sorry, what am I thinking?
Yeah.
So really, he's playing a D... Can you play a D major bar chord right there? So what's happening is it's a very simple subject.
Yeah. And then up here it's...
Right. They're basically pieces of a chord.
Yeah. This one, the third's on top. This one, it's the root is on top, right? Mm-hmm. This little trad. This one, your root's right here, right? You got your third here, and the fifth is, well, I mean, if I don't play the low, but the fifth is right there. So if you're doing 3-note clusters, right? Yeah. It's just however those clusters take shape to get the same notes as it goes up the neck. So, right? But the cage system is the best way I've ever found to learn chord inversions.
Indeed. That's great. That's a great answer. Yeah, I was going to say, just take a bar chord, or any chord for that matter. Take a C chord, and if you play the C chord starting from the 5th string down, you have a C chord. If you play it from the 4th string down, you have a C/E, because the E is in the bass. Now, I know that's probably not what you're thinking about, but you should be thinking about that first, because it's literally that simple. An inversion is when we take a note other than the root of the chord and you put it in the bass. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's all it is. So in this case here, if a C chord is a C, E, G, then we can play from the 4th string down. That's an E. That's still a C chord, but it's a C/E. But typically you play a C/E like a C chord, but you play the low E in there so it would have that sound. It's also got a G in it, so I could grab this G on the 3rd fret of the low E string. And it just gives it a bigger sound.
Huh. Everyone's saying
Big
that
bottom.
Riff Station is shutting down. There's Ultimate Slowdowner too is a good one.
And Song Surgeon. Those guys hit me up the other day. You ever Song Surgeon?
No, I gotta check that out.
Yeah. Here's another one that you guys wouldn't think, but I friggin' love it. And it is called DJ2. DJ2. It's literally D-G-J-A-Y. I was just showing it to Brett here. D-G-A-Y. Because you can slow it down and keep the pitch the same, just the same way. And you can also grab little riffs. It's made for DJs. This is universal for DJ, by the way.
Yeah.
DJ.
Sign language for DJ.
Do they do that anymore? I think they do.
Can you do that? These all like digital. Maybe there's like a button they press that simulates that now.
I think. And so that's a great one. I love that one. And it works with Spotify. What? Yeah, so you don't have to, it does it in real time. You don't have to like go buy the MP3s. Yeah. Yeah. Love so that. Anyhow, do you play harmonica? Someone's asking.
No, but Marty plays a mean harmonica.
Does he really?
Have you ever heard Marty was like Blues Traveler good when we were in high school. Just just ripped on the harmonica.
I love it, man.
I try to get him to play still.
Why doesn't
he does sometimes?
Play, man?
He just doesn't do it as much as he used to, but he was so good at harmonica.
Is there anything I can do other than use picks to be able to pick with my thick fingers? I can't get used to finger picks. Yes, you can. So I use a flat pick, but would love to finger pick. Number one, you can get used to anything. I know it feels uncomfortable for you at first, but I promise you can get used to it. You got used to walking. You got used to using a pick. You got used to holding a guitar. You got used to playing a note, fretting a note, playing a chord. It's all getting used to. There's no thing. We're not robots, right? We can learn anything.
Yeah, I mean, I know plenty of guys with super big hands and fat fingers, and it's like he's saying, you just get used to it. And the mechanics might be a little bit different because, it is challenging. Also, what you can do, too, is not all guitars have the same width this way.
Yeah.
And so there's different, check with a guitar. I think one's, I forget what the exact measurements are, but some guitars come with a wider spacing between the strings. So you can check that out too. In both acoustics and electrics.
Sweet. The Lapins is saying, hey, Hey, you. My favorite 2 YouTubers together.
Yes.
Thanks, guys.
Nice.
Woo! Love it.
Go team.
My friends, we're going to take 3 more questions, and then we're going to get out of here, okay? What's the difference between the cage system and maps systems?
I don't know what maps is.
I don't know what that is either, but I can guarantee you it's all the same stuff.
Yeah, there's just different ways to do it.
Yeah. I mean, you're just talking about different ways to play the major scale or to play its derivatives, to play the chords that are within a major scale.
Yeah, I mean, I had, in my personal experience, I just had a bunch of really great guitar players I looked up to all say learn your chords all over the neck, and that was their secret to soloing. And I ran into this guy who's like super shredder, Guthrie Govan. And
is that the guy who you told me about with all the like Warren DeMartini
English
stuff?
guy? No, that's a guy out here, Ryan Warner, who's just terrifying. But anyways, also look Guthrie Govan up if you haven't seen him. But I talked to him backstage at an event one time, and he said the same thing, learn your chords all over the neck. And I'm like, well, how do you do that? And he goes, go home and look up the cage system. That's what I did. And so I was like, well, if it worked for him, then I found a video on it. It was like, oh my God, why didn't somebody show me this first?
Right?
Like, it was like...
And see, that's a perfect
moment.
example, because people look at teachers or if you're on YouTube or something, that, like you have all the answers. And, dude, we're figuring all this stuff out, too.
No, it took
it's like
me...
We're learning... There's so much I don't know
15
about.
years 20 years of teaching before somebody introduced me to the cage system.
I know, me too, yeah. I found it on YouTube. I was searching around. This was I don't know how many years ago now. You can figure out whenever I put a first caged system video up, but I kept seeing it on YouTube, and I'm like, cage system, what is that? And I watched the video, and I'm like, oh, I've been doing that for years, but I didn't call it the cage system.
Right.
But now that you're calling it the cage system, that makes way more sense.
Yeah,
I can figure out the chords across the neck. I just was like, oh, this chord works over here, works over here. Perfect example of kind of knowing theory and not knowing theory. It's like you can still figure stuff out, but like if you're going to teach it, well, now you can go, look, cage, C-A-G-E-D.
Yeah, and if you don't know what the cage system is, it's a way to see the chords all over the neck using open chord position shapes. So if you think of like a C, an A, a G, an E, and a D, it's how to take one chord, and using those shapes, you can play that same chord all the way up and down the neck. So like here's a C chord, right, with a C shape. The next one, if you think of the word cage, the next one is an A shape. So think of an A chord, but you can't make a C chord with just this. So if you put the C note in the bass, and now you have this A shape, right? Sorry, guitar's way out of tune, right? But then you have the A shape, and then the G shape. Think of a G chord. So you remember your G chord like this, right? But you find where the root is on the low, because the G chord, the root's on the low E string, so you find the C, and then you do a G. And your first finger basically becomes a movable capo, right?
Yeah.
And then same thing with an E chord, the root's, you got the E shape now, but you got to find it where the C is, and then think of this chord, we've all done this, it's a C chord, but with an E shape. And then the same thing with the D.
Indeed.
Yeah, right, so...
Watch a few different videos of that too. You've got cage videos, yeah.
Yeah, a whole cage course that's like 12 hours.
Nice.
Of how to,
and they can find that where?
At my website, brettpapa.com.
Nice. All right, Brett. So Papa, in the intro jam, you were doing an octave lick. Were you playing different scale notes? And was it one octave or more? I think you showed me something, right? Where you played one riff and then you brought down an octave.
Yeah, maybe they're talking about the
Oh, octaves. Yes,
that
I think
lick. Yeah, I basically just walked up the scale, and I accentuated that one note because I had that note in mind, right? And I just wherever it was. Yeah, that's
indeed. Someone's saying first tube amp. I'm throwing my. I'm saying a Blues Junior. What about you?
Yeah,
Blues Junior first tube amp.
Really good.
It's the most affordable.
Yeah.
It's a Fender. It's legit. It has a 12-inch speaker. If you put pedals in front of it, you can play with a rock band, with drums. It's super loud. It can clean up real nice. It's everything.
If you can still find them on eBay, the Crate Vintage Club series. The ones that are all cream.
Like 80s?
They're probably 90s.
Uh-huh.
Those are cool. And then the PV Classic, like the PV Classic 30.
Is awesome.
So you can probably find those for like $150. And
yeah,
the Classic 30 and the Classic 50 are great amps. But the Blues Junior is ridiculously cool. Great amp.
Someone says you don't own a TV?
I have a TV, but it's not connected. So like if ever I watch something, it's, you know, on the internet, but I don't watch TV. I mean, maybe once a week I'll watch a movie with the kids. Our kids don't watch TV either.
No, I gotta keep them away from that.
So I got a lot more time. When I started not watching TV, I was like, oh my gosh, look at all this time I have.
I stopped watching TV a long time ago.
Yeah.
Stopped watching the news like in '89.
Right.
I don't know why I was watching it as a teenager.
Yeah.
Wasn't watching it much then.
Well, you got to figure it's weird because, you know, all the news is owned by like 6 companies.
Well, and people say, well, how do you know what's going on? With
Pay
what?
attention.
With what?
Yeah, right.
I know what's going on with me. I don't. Anyhow, don't get me started. Don't get me
That's
started.
a whole nother discussion.
And there's all your practice time. Is let's cut out the guitar time, right?
Yeah.
All right, brother, you ready to head on out?
I am.
Let's head on out. And friends, thank you so much for those that donated today. We specifically thank you. Super duper kind. We're literally going to eat some food now because I am very hungry. So thank you so much. And great questions today. You guys played full out. Facebook folks, Instagram folks, they're gone. But
you're doing hemp oil salad dressing.
Oh, yeah. Just hemp
the
oil.
lemon. Yeah, exactly.
You guys rock. Thank you so much. Please check out brettpapa.com. Don't forget to go Papa Stash or
102.
Papa Stash 102
YouTube channel.
Go to my Instagram, like it, leave a comment for a chance to win $500 value of guitar lessons. That's what you'd pay for it today. All right, we're out of here. See ya.